Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Shiz and Giggles. This is a very special episode for us because it is our last one for the 2020 year. So we're excited to kind of wrap things up one last time this year. And before we get started, I want to bring into the studio, enter the group chat, my co-host for today, Christine.
Yay!
Christine,
hi. Everybody. How's your Friday been, Sarah?
It's been good. It's been really good. We've had a really busy Friday here at AAP for those of us that have been in the office or working from home office. So we're excited to be checking things off our list and just wrapping up this year, So how about you?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, I woke up at 8 to do a bunch of business calls and we've just been going.
Yes,
going nonstop.
Well, it is just the two of us today, so hopefully we give people what they want. I know we can. We can do it. So today we're going to be talking about, as I said, we're wrapping things up for the end of the year, and we're just going to focus on growth, self-growth, and growth in our environment, and of course just growth in general. As dare I say, it was a global pandemic this year. But let's start off with. What would you say symbolizes growth for you this year, Christine? If there was one statement or one moment in time this year that symbolizes growth, what would you say that would be?
I guess it would probably be me finally being able to talk professionally with the phone calls, like I mentioned, because before I would literally want to cry at my retail job. If someone would be like, oh, can you just call this customer really quick? I'd be like, oh, hi, this is Christine. Thank you for calling. But now it comes much more naturally. So I think that's a huge growth moment because not only does it help with just business calls, but it also helps with my whole professional persona as a whole brand. Even just writing emails or thinking up scripts for shows like this, it's really, really comes naturally. And I'm really thankful that I had the experience to just grow more in my professional vocabulary.
Yeah, I totally agree. And to kind of just bring that into a broader aspect, I think a lot of people this year, whether despite, whichever industry you're coming from, whether it's the more business side of things or just ground level things, a lot of people have had to work on that professionalism and really catering to their clients or the people that they work with, because we're in a situation where we've had to adapt to many different scenarios. And so I definitely agree with you. A lot of people who maybe didn't really focus on that one-on-one relationship that they're forming with their clients or their customers or even their employees, employers, etc. They definitely had to work on that. So that's a really good one. I think that does symbolize growth when it's not just about you anymore, but it's about you and the people as a whole. And just
it was definitely a huge learning curve, especially because for teachers and older adults especially, they had to learn how to use technology. They had to learn how to use computers and Zoom, and then they're why are they muted? Why am I muted? So everybody had to learn in their own ways, especially with just presenting themselves virtually. It was a whole new thing that nobody knew that they had to learn.
Yeah, and just being on camera, Andrea just did an episode of FIC with Daryl, and they talked about being on camera and just getting rid of, fighting those anxieties and those predispositions that come with the idea of being on camera and just showing your face to someone. It's kind of interesting, how, especially for us working in events, we used to meet with people face to face all the time at events and client meetings and conferences. But then when it came to Zoom, it's that just became a whole different thing, but it's still essentially the same thing. You're still meeting face to face. I guess when you bring technology into things, it kind of freaks people out more. Maybe, I don't know, drop in the comment. Are you more of a hey, I want to meet you in person, or would you rather stick to the video conversation? What would you say you prefer?
For me, I love video because then I tend to get ready an hour beforehand. I set up my space. I do a camera check. So I put up FaceTime to make sure that my background doesn't look super unprofessional and has I don't know, my clothes and messily back in the back. But it's really fun just setting up my whole space and then having a whole lower half of my body. You don't know what I'm wearing underneath here. I could be wearing my PJs. I could be wearing a full corporate outfit. You never know. It's a fun surprise. But it's just so much more comfortable, and it makes you not as nervous being in your own space.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. You kind of said everything. So back on the topic of growth, what would you say? Why would you say, not what would you say, but why do you think it's important to acknowledge growth?
It's definitely important because it's like your whole life from kindergarten, you're always told, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And when you think of growth, you think of growing up in like 5 years or 10 years from now. But what a lot of people don't think of, well, I guess a lot of people have the time to think of it now that we're in quarantine and we're always looking back on memories, is you can grow just day by day, even if it's like you're learning a new skill. Like, for example, I learned how to embroider over quarantine, and before I could only make like a circle. But the next week I made like a sun, and I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever
Oh
embroidered.
my gosh, a circle to a sun, growth.
Wow, growth.
That's growth. Yeah, that's so true. Like you always want to know where you came from, you know? I know here at AAP we always talk about how like the beginning of this year we had like all these plans as so many people did. And then those plans kind of got lost within the pandemic and then it kind of came back in a different form. So it's like you kind of have to remember where you started and where you're finishing. So growth is very important to acknowledge just cuz I mean, everything is all about time and numbers. So you might as well keep track of that. And I want to ask you, Christine, how do you measure growth? Like that could be any type of growth, physical growth, emotional growth.
So for me, I guess I would just say I always like romanticize everything.
Mm,
So
me too.
yeah, it's really common to romanticize everything. So it's just easy to look back like, oh, a week ago, I only walked 2 blocks and I was out of breath. But now I can climb up 5 sets of stairs to get to work and I'm not as out of breath.
I'm such an athlete.
Yeah, so sporty.
Yeah, that's so true. For me, how do I measure growth? Is I think about like, so I'm really big on like photos and memories and just capturing those memories, I mean. And so I would say how I measure growth is literally through any type of video or video or picture that I took in the past. So there's this thing on Snapchat where like it reminds you of like your memories. Also Facebook and Instagram do it too. And it's just so unique to see like, hey, what was I doing a year ago today? Or what was I doing the beginning of January? There's like this trend on TikTok. It's like post a picture of you from January and then post a picture from you now. And a lot of people just kind of like see how, wow, I really hit rock bottom. Or a lot of people can be like, oh, wow, I really accomplished a lot of things. So I think just having those visual representations is a great way to measure growth because you can kind of it kind of brings you back to that moment. You can like literally see it. And if it's a video, you can kind of like hear and experience and all that kinesthetic things. So I would definitely say that using photography or photos or stuff like that can measure growth. Also, your family can help you a lot because they're always like, remember when you were like 5 and you can do this? And then, so.
And then you're like, I actually don't remember. So that's on you.
Wasn't, yeah, that's why that's your job. You're supposed to remember for me.
Yeah, that's wild. I know a lot of like beauty influencers, like especially on like YouTube, they were all getting really sad thinking about, oh, a year ago I was at Coachella, but right now I'm just on my couch. But then they have to remind themselves like, oh, everybody's going through it. Like it's not just me that's having a different lifestyle than what I'm used to. So really have to like, yes, it's like a reality check, but it's also like kind of humbling, like understanding, oh, well, I can take this time to work on myself, or I can take this time to work on my relationships with other people.
Mm-hmm. That was a really big one this year. It kind of put things into perspective and kind of I can't speak. Going back to what you just said, it's like everybody's going through this. I think it's really interesting. I always tell myself, or I always remind myself, like, wow, for once in like our lifetime and maybe like in a lot of people's lifetimes, this is something that everyone's going through. Like a lot of the times, obviously everyone has like their own problems and they go through their own kind of journeys, but this pandemic and everything that came with it is something that everyone's experiencing at the same time. And it's kind of unique and cool to think about because it's like, wow, I can't really say this only affects me and this can't be all about me because it really isn't, because everyone is literally going through everything at the same time, maybe in different ways, but it's like that one thing that we all share this year and it forced us all to grow. Like I feel like some people there's always that saying that's like, oh, you need to grow up, or like, you know how people are always saying stuff like that, like, you need to
Yes.
grow up, that
Yes.
person's not grown, you're so
Yes.
childish. I feel like this year everybody had to grow in some way. So I hope everyone found a way to experience that growth and go through those growing pains, because it was a pain. Let me tell you, it was a huge
Definitely
pain.
was.
What are you going to miss about this year if you had to choose one thing? If we had to look at 2020, yes, it's like doom's year, but what would you say is the one good thing that came out of this year for you?
Everything being virtual, so I can, like I said, I can just roll up. I had an 8 a.m. yoga class, and I would set my yoga setup the night before, have my yoga mat laid out, my clothes, my water, all that there, and I would put my laptop right next to my bed. So I would wake up like 10 minutes before, I would get up, and I would just roll, and I would change, and it would be right
You
there. It's
literally
just so
rolled
easy.
into yoga.
I
Like you're
really
supposed to be doing your
did.
crunch rolls, and she's like
Yeah,
rolling out of bed and rolling right into yoga.
exactly. And nobody even suspected a thing.
I'm sure our yoga instructor, Casey, also AAP employee, would love to hear what you're saying right now.
Yeah,
She's loving this.
5 a.m. I don't know how she does that. And then she goes straight to work.
Gosh.
Oh my god.
She's superwoman. What will I miss about 2020? Ah, that's, I feel like I'm gonna miss a lot of things, not even gonna lie. Like, we had so much time this year, it's not even funny. Like,
That's true. All the
I don't
commute
know,
time
back
is like gone.
yeah, like it's not even the amount of like the power of time, like whether it's like because it stopped or like it, just took a big pause, but we just had so much time. And I think what I'll miss the most about 2020 is just like I can't speak, guys, I'm so sorry, just appreciating the little things. Like, I remember I was in Richmond during the beginning of the quarantine, and I came home to Northern Virginia, and here it's not the city at all, so you're just literally in the suburbs where I live. And I would just go on walks, and I just was like, wow, I'm really grateful for this tree right now. I'm really grateful for air. And you forget about those things. Like, you watch all those supernatural shows, and it's like those tree people, they're like, oh, wow, we worship the trees. And you're like, okay, that's kind of weird. That's what humans think. But in general, like, you have to be so grateful for those things, because, like, wow, I have air to breathe. Like, and I'm breathing right now. How many people couldn't say that because we lost so many lives this year, but you just got to be grateful for those things. So I think I'll miss 2020 for humbling me and for making me appreciate the little things I took for granted before. And hopefully that mentality still rolls into 2021, because this pandemic isn't over, guys. Like, it's not just January 1st, as we said last week, and it's going to stop. Like, if anything, it might get a little harder because there's a lot more things being thrown in. So yeah, but 2020.
2020. Yeah, a lot of people definitely appreciated spending time with their family and just being home all the time. I know their pets. My dog loves it, having a blast.
And then when you have to go back to, like, my mom's like, this is good for you because you're always going 100 miles an hour. And it's like, when you go back to going to those 100 miles an hour, your cat's going to be like, or your cat and your whatever pet you have, a dog's going to be like, huh? What? Why aren't you catering to me every 2 seconds? But I kind of just want to take like a moment of like breathing to like kind of just air this year out. I feel like we all need to take a moment and just breathe and just be like, wow, like we did it.
Ujjayi breath, you breathe in.
So if you guys are watching this with us right now, go ahead and like just inhale, exhale. Let's do it one more time for the people in the back who didn't feel it. Inhale, exhale. So good. If you joined in and took a moment of inhaling and breathing, inhaling and exhaling with us, I appreciate you. Rock. Okay, Christine, final thoughts. Anything, and this is your moment to kind of just say whatever you want to say. It's going to be locked into this AAP Shiz and Giggles forever. In 2020, you can't go back. Like, this is locked into 2020 forever. So
I guess just like tying the whole growth speech together, it's just like, it's super important to acknowledge your growth, because once you acknowledge it, you're able to build a really stable and sturdy foundation for like you to be able to blossom into. So by acknowledging the growth that you had, you're able to grow even further in a stable environment. That is all.
Those were Christine's final 2020 moments, not moments, but thoughts. Oh my God. Sorry, Christine. I'm not trying to, let me not. Her final AAP words of wisdom to share with you guys for 2020. And for me, I guess I'll wrap it up for the team, since obviously not everyone could be here today. And usually we have 3 of us, but there's only 2 of us today. But from AAP, we just want to say thank you so much for this journey that you guys came on or experienced with us. It's been a roller coaster, as a lot of people can probably relate to. But I think those growing pains that we refer to were very necessary, because we were able to unlock different dimensions of our company, whether it was internal or external. We were able to really form meaningful relationships with all of our clients. We took social media by a storm. I wish we could do like a flashback of everything, but we did like different, we tried to become more digital and more social, literally through social media with everyone, with our challenges and our Instagram. And we even made a TikTok, guys. We had to bring that back in 2021. Our TikTok kind of launched a little bit in the summer, so we're coming back with that. But we just learned so much, and we had to really, as a team, I remember there was a moment in the summer where Andrea asked us, she was like, guys, I just need one thing from you guys right now. And she was like, I just need your commitment. I just need to know that you guys are ready to get on board. And this was like the midway of 2020, where it's like, we don't know what's coming. We don't know what to expect for the rest of the year, but I just need you guys to really stick with it and just commit to each other as a team. And I think we really, really did that. And those were growing pains within ourselves, because a lot of us had to just learn to not only adjust through this like moment outside of AAP and outside our professional life, but also bring that and kind of work with it internal as a team. And it was a lot, guys. There was a lot of tears, happiness, but through it all, it was just all gratitude. Yeah, it was definitely worth it. We also got 4 new interns. So we grew our team. Literally, we grew as a team, which was super helpful and super great. So if I was to wrap that all up, it's just one big thank you. But like I said, 2020 may be coming to a close, but 2021, we're coming back bigger, better than ever. We're going to take everything that we learned in 2020 and we're going to bring that into 2021, and we're going to perfect it, and we're going to make sure it's good. It's going to be super. You're going to get so tired of us. It's going to be everywhere in your faces on your social media platforms. So yeah, we can't wait. But as I said before, it's not a goodbye. It's a see you later. And we'll see you guys in 2021. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.